the meantime, here we go. We saw Allan earlier in his Swiss match versus Ari, and he was able to kind of actually like cinch that game 3 victory with that Goldango and that Dragonite combination. So really fantastic here. Now we're gonna see Allan one more time versus Andy, and Andy is actually Andy is actually bringing the first Flutter Mane that I'm gonna see this entire time. This is going to be wild. So it'll be Iron Moth, King Gambit, Flutter Mane, Grimmsnarl, Annihilate, and Rotom Wash for Andy versus Allan's, like I said, we've seen the Iron Hand, Sableye, Amoonguss, Goldango, the Volcarona, and the Dragonite. The Goldango and the Dragonite specifically just absolutely terrors together. So this will be actually very interesting to see what's going on. I think, I'm not 100% sure if Allan is going to Orlando, but actually at least 3 people in my top cut are actually going to, be going into Orlando next week. So you are going to be seeing Gio, Nate, and Brian there at least from Top Cut in this local. You'll see them at Orlando next week if you guys are going. So, we're all cheering them on here for SoCal. Super excited for that. But if we're looking here at the matchups, Flutter Mane actually one of the Pokemon that everybody was talking about when Paradox Pokemon were first allowed into the format. Just Mischievous was like, hey, the past version of me is way better than present me. I need to work on my present me just a little bit. But Flutter Mane, just one of those, like, it's fast, it's scary. Definitely kind of a threat, but not as popular as I thought I would expect it to be. Seeing actually a lot more Iron Hands than anything else over the course of these past couple of tournaments, and actually just overall not really seeing a lot of Flutter Mane. So this is actually the first time I'm seeing it here. King Gambit, of course, just a fantastic Pokemon that was introduced this generation, having access still to something like Sucker Punch, but also still having Defiant from its predecessor. The Bisharp. It's an absolute terrifying Pokemon to just have to sort of deal with. And Annihilate, one of also those Pokemon, just heavy hitter, just very aggressive overall as a Pokemon to have to deal with. So as we get into our first top 8 match, here we go. This will be really exciting as Grimmsnarl and Annihilate is going to be the lead of choice here for Andy. It's Sableye versus the Goldango. Annihilate actually really interesting here, right? You do have usually things like Final Gambit, just you take something down with you because it'll be equal to the HP that you have. However, Andy's actually isn't running that. It will still have the Rage Fist, Drain Punch, and Bulk Up variant instead here. Grimmsnarl, just a pretty standard set, actually has Covert Cloak instead of Light Clay like most Grimmsnarls are running to extend the lifespan of those screens. The Goldango on Allan's side also has that Covert Cloak here, but Grimmsnarl setting up the light screen is actually just going to be a regular amount of time here, as now Reflect from Sableye is also going to be, so they're actually going to be exchanging screens here, as a Nasty Plot from Allan going to be revealed here. Really interesting. Gonna be a bit of a scary Pokemon to have to deal with later on, but Rage Fist from that Annihilate, thanks to that Reflect, not going to do as much super effective damage to that Goldango as it could have before. So this Goldango actually in a fantastic spot. Well, it was able to go for the Nasty Plot. We saw it move before the Annihilate. We'll have that +2 to its special attack. So any sort of Make It Rain is actually going to be absolutely devastating into both of these Pokemon. We've seen before, at least with previous, with a different Grimmsnarl, that Make It Rain can at least do half into a Grimmsnarl, and that's a neutral special attack. So with that +2 from that Nasty Plot, this Grimmsnarl's in for a world of hurt. You really gotta have to watch out here if you are Andy, and he actually is going to return that Grimmsnarl here. Iron Moth instead going to hit the field in place of that Grimmsnarl Iron Moth. Of course, that future Paradox Pokemon of Volcarona here. We are going to see the disable here from the Sableye is going to disable that Rage Fist here, as Goldango's Make It Rain is going to do significant damage to that Annihilate. It's going to be now a neutral special attack as Iron Moth takes an actually takes that really nicely. Annihilate going to take this moment to chow down on that berry, going to get back its HP here thanks to that Shift Berry. Annihilate, though, not falling for that disable, is going to take its own opportunity to go for a bulk up here, getting that attack and that defense. So Rage Fist now going to have a little bit of boost to it because it was hit by Make It Rain, and now going to be even more terrifying thanks to that that bulk up here. So I'm gonna have to at least navigate getting away from that disable, because the only fighting move that it can use right now is that Drain Punch. So if you are Allan, you have to get rid of that Annihilate as soon as you can, because if you don't, what's going to happen is that Rage Fist is going to be absolutely insane. So you know, this Annihilate is like on some weird kind of like awkward timer that you're kind of looking at here, as Goldengo is actually going to be switched out right now. Dragonite is going to hit the field, so Dragonite, kind of also terrible Pokemon to have to really deal with, as actually Annihilate is getting withdrawn, so Disable and that Bulk Up actually going to just be reset here. However, the way Rage Fist works, it'll still keep all of those together and the mechanics together. Kingambit going to hit the field here in place of that Annihilate. Sableye taking this moment to go ahead and set up Light Screen, as Iron Moth is able to land a Heat Wave onto both Pokemon. So now if you're kind of looking at it, right, Dragonite is kind of like an interesting spot. You're at least able to go for the Terra. You're able to go for some pretty heavy attacks here. Iron Moth is going to have actually some pretty significant kind of offensive pressure with that Heat Wave, especially when you're fishing for something like burn chances. It feels like, despite the fact that it's only like a 10% chance, I want to say, for burn, it feels pretty high in a lot of these metas. And again, that Annihilate that's kind of sitting in the back still does have one activation on its Rage Fist, no longer disabled and no longer having that bulk up sort of boost. But this Kingambit also in a nice spot, could go for Sucker Punches, right? You know that Allan does have a banded Dragonite, so you know that it'll probably have to attack unless there's a double switch here. Volcarona actually is going to stare down its future version of itself as Allan brings in that present form of this Pokemon here. Iron Moth going for Protect, and make sure it doesn't get hit by anything too crazy this turn. Volcarona here to stay. Actually, Dragonite just going straight for a Stomping Tantrum, going to do about half damage to that Kingambit. Kingambit going for Kowtow Cleave here is going to do some pretty okay damage here onto that Dragonite as well. So Volcarona getting in here pretty nicely. The Iron Moth did run that Protect, so a really interesting spot, I think, for both of these players. I think Allan in a little bit of a better spot, right? He was able to at least get some pressure in there. You might start playing Sucker Punch games here with that Kingambit, but this Dragonite actually still in a really fantastic spot. You did lock yourself into into Stomping Tantrum, so it is one of those cases where, in case it would fail, the next turn that you can actually get it to go would make it twice, like double damage in here. So now we have the Kingambit going for its Terra typing. It is going to be Terra type Flying, the most popular variant for Kingambit to have as a Terra type. We saw it do absolutely crazy things next to a Pelipper. Heat Wave here from that Iron Moth, gonna get a critical hit on Dragonite, unfortunately here. But Volcarona going to return fire with his own Heat Wave, as also gets a critical hit actually on the Iron Moth. Dragonite going for the Stomping Tantrum here is actually going to hit the Iron Moth instead, so that Kingambit going for that Terra Flying, not really going to do much here as Iron Moth goes down on this turn. Kingambit going one more time for that Kowtow Cleave. Thanks to that critical hit, that Dragonite was definitely in that knockout range for it. So Dragonite trading knockouts between itself and the Iron Moth. Not quite sure how Allan would feel about that, especially because Dragonite is one of your heavier hitters. Volcarona is great to see and all. The problem that you're having now is that, you know, your Sableye and your Goldengo, your Goldengo specifically, right, not really the best Pokemon maybe to have right now, just because Sucker Punch does so much damage. Grimmsnarl in a perfect spot to come back in here, as that Light Screen did expire. Sableye, though, coming back onto the field as well. That Prankster ability between Grimmsnarl and Sableye, though, both of them are going to be able, Grimmsnarl able to set up screens one more time. Sableye, though, because it has that Light Clay, that screen is still up for a while, is able to go for an Encore Disable sort of shenanigan if it would really like to. But you need at least 2 turns to set that up, is the only issue if you are looking at the Sableye, right? And that makes you a pretty huge target for something like Grimmsnarl, which has access to Spirit Break, which would do super effective damage to you. So now you're kind of in a spot, if you're Allan, you're kind of playing on the back end right now, because Andy actually has a little bit, has kind of turned things in his favor, especially because of that knockout to Dragonite. So it's kind of wild here. Sableye going for the Encore now is going to lock that Kingambit into Kowtow Cleave, which is perfectly fine. You just have to follow it up with that Disable as soon as you can. Volcarona going for the Heat Wave. Oh no! Grimmsnarl avoiding the attack, which is fine. Kingambit, though, barely hanging on here as Spirit Break from that Sableye into that Sableye is going to pick up the knockout, so no Disable shenanigans are going to be happening here. Another critical hit into that spot for Sableye. Not quite sure it matters in this case. But now that Kowtow Cleave is what the, at least now that you know that that is what is locked into, that's okay, because the secondary effect of this is you are okay bringing your Goldengo. You don't have to worry about Sucker Punch, which is the biggest thing that you have to worry about usually. So actually Goldengo is in a really nice spot now to just kind of click Make It Rain if it really wanted to. A double down from both Volcarona with a Heat Wave and Make It Rain should actually be enough to kind of knock out here. But Andy correctly identified this is actually going to withdraw and bring back in the Annihilate. The Annihilate, which still has that one activation on its Rage Fist, has Light Screen from Grimmsnarl, the perfect choice to bring up here against two special attackers. Heat Wave from Volcarona. Oh no, another dodge. Oh, this Annihilate this time is going to dodge it. Grimmsnarl takes that easily. And Make It Rain from Gholdengo is able to pick up the knockout here on Grimmsnarl. That is one extra activation, though, of Rage Fist onto the Annihilate. So Grimmsnarl does go down this turn, but that leaves that Terra-typing King Gambit free to come into the field. The issue now is that King Gambit no longer is in an encore, right? In an encore state, which means that you are free to kind of play those mind games with Sucker Punch. And Sucker Punch is one of the scariest things to like have to worry about. We know that I think the Gholdengo was definitely faster than the Annihilate that we had seen in like those first couple of turns. So if you've got that Gholdengo at least able, if something is able to attack, ooh, Gholdengo going for a protect this turn though, doesn't want to fall for anything like a Sucker Punch most likely, as King Gambit is exactly doing that, and it is going to fail because the Gholdengo went for that protect. Volcarona going for the Bug Buzz is able to pick up the knockout here on the King Gambit, so guaranteeing at least that Gholdengo doesn't have to worry about any of those sort of mind games happening, which honestly kind of fantastic for Allan here, right? Playing that really nicely. His Rage Fist, though, after that one activation from earlier, actually two activations now, is not enough to pick up the knockout on the Volcarona, and Volcarona able to hang on thanks to you know, getting that little extra HP back from those leftovers. That Reflect really paying off dividends as well here. That two activations of the Rage Fist against that Reflect, not quite enough, which actually just leaves this Gholdengo and this Volcarona free to just sort of attack. And no dodges this time here as that Heat Wave finally connects into that Annihilate, and Gholdengo able to pick up the knockout here with the Shadow Ball, giving game one to Allan. So that was actually kind of a wild ride. Honestly, that was just a lot of dodges on Andy's side, and the fact that Allan was able to clutch that out in the end, really well played, I think, with that protect near the end. Correctly, was just thinking like, hey, the King Gambit's going to try to Sucker Punch me because I have to get rid of both these Pokemon, so let me just focus down on this King Gambit. It's at like very minimal HP, so I can get rid of it. I get rid of that threat that Sucker Punch kind of puts down on us. And so I think, you know, that endgame kind of beautifully played, honestly, just really well done from Allan, just kind of identifying all of his outs and figuring out, hey, these are what I need to do to make sure that all of this gets like sort of knocked out. And I kind of really appreciate that, right? Sometimes when misses happen, it kind of throws us off our game, and I think Allan just really adjusted like well, still kind of kept his cool and was able to like knock out other things. On the other hand, I really like what Andy did, right? Like saying, hey, I don't want to have to worry about the disable, I don't want to worry about the encore and stuff, so let me switch out these Pokemon here and try to pivot, and I think he did a very good job of that. It's just unfortunate sometimes when, like, you know, you might miss a KO or two. I think trading the Iron Moth for that Dragonite was really nice and probably like the best thing that could have happened. It just unfortunately, you know, for Andy, Allan was able to come back from that and like figure out a way to correct himself in that instance for it. So I think if you're looking at the second game, there's not much I think that you might really have to change. Just be a little bit, I think, being a little bit more mindful of like the Sableye or even like that King Gambit sort of matchup, right? Because King Gambit is just truly kind of annoying to have to deal with. Again, playing those mind games of when will they Sucker Punch and when will they not, right? 9 times out of 10, you just never not Sucker Punch. So a little bit of a change here from Andy. We are going to see the King Gambit a little bit earlier next to that Grimmsnarl, and also a change from Allan, that Sableye this time partnered up with that Volcarona. So both of them leaving behind at least one other Pokemon that they had before. In this case, the King Gambit in place of the Annihilate, and the Volcarona in place of that Gholdengo. So Volcarona, though, actually just a lot of offensive pressure here into Andy's Pokemon. You know, you've got the Heat Wave, always just really nice. One of the super effective damage to the King Gambit if it doesn't Terra, but you also have the chance for the burns here. Sableye, of course, in a lot of trouble in case Spirit Break does happen, but we're going to actually see a Terra just from the get-go here from Allan. That Volcarona, I'm going to go for Terra-type Water. Going to get rid of a lot of weaknesses that it has as a Bug Fire type. And ready down to rain down on the parade of Andy's side, but Andy returning fire with his own Terra typing, much like that King Gambit. Again, really popular Terra choice, going into that flying Terra type. Just really good for it because, again, you get rid of a lot of the stuff that like makes it really easy to get rid of, something like the Heat Wave. But Sableye going to set up the Reflect this turn, is going to have the Prankster to give it that priority a little bit faster. Actually, sorry. no prankster move here from that Grimmsnarl. Actually looking like it's gonna go for a Spirit Break. Quiver Dance from that Volcarona, gonna raise up its stats, gonna guarantee itself a little bit more wiggle room here. A Spirit Break from that Grimmsnarl, not quite enough to pick up the knockout here into that Sableye, thanks to that thanks to that screen that it just put up. Terra Blast from King Gambit gonna be Terra Flying, just minimal damage into that Volcarona thanks to the fact that it did Terra type into water, so it is gonna get rid of that flying type weakness. Gonna have those leftovers to eat up just a little bit of like the damage it did just take. Sableye still on the field though, which is really good for Allan because you're at least able to set up another set of screens. That Grimmsnarl not able to do so, but should be able to do it this turn because now you kind of have a semi-set up Volcarona that you really have to be careful of because now it's a little bit of a bigger threat than it was before. And even with the Heat Wave not doing much, that Quiver Dance really making it a bigger threat. King Gambit actually going to get out of dodge while it can, as Annihilate is going to take place of that, and Annihilate doesn't mind getting hit because of those rage fins, but Volcarona actually going for a Protect on this turn. Gonna be like, yeah, I'm not gonna risk it here. Sableye actually going for an Encore, but failing to do so because that King Gambit switched out. And Andy actually finally able to knock out the Sableye, so not setting up a screen still on this turn. This Volcarona actually kind of just not really wasting a turn of Protect, but allowing this Annihilate to switch in free is going to get a little bit back of HP because of those leftovers. So that attack that it did have to take from that Terra Blast, not as bad here. So now you're just kind of in an interesting spot. The Gholdengo and the Volcarona together are actually kind of scary to like right next to each other, right? The Gholdengo faster than the Annihilate. Volcarona now clearly faster thanks to the Quiver Dance, and you just have a lot of offensive pressure right here on the field, right? Annihilate could try its best to like sort of like take down this Gholdengo, but we know that with the Reflect Up, it's at least like able to hang on just a little bit. So maybe a double down from the Spirit Break and a Rage Twist might actually do it for the Gholdengo, depending. But also, Allan actually has a lot of Pokemon that are able to set themselves up. You got the Quiver Dance on Volcarona, and then you have the Nasty Plot on Gholdengo, which an interesting move to try to put onto your Pokemon. But light screen here from Grimmsnarl finally, as now it finally got rid of its screen's opponent here. Volcarona actually going for the Bug Buzz into that Grimmsnarl spot. You're going to be able to get a little bit of damage done into it as Gholdengo takes this opportunity to go for a Nasty Plot, getting that +2 special attack here. Rage Twist from Annihilate does not actually have any activations on it at all right now. Does very minimal damage into that Volcarona, and Volcarona is just like, whatever you do to me, I'm just going to recover back with that leftovers. So actually Gholdengo's in a really scary spot right now. If you're looking at it, this thing is at +2 right now. It is probably one of the biggest threats on the field for Andy. And you really kind of have to be careful for it. It's actually kind of a huge threat. Like, there's so much offensive pressure right now on Allan's side. And Andy is actually withdrawing that Annihilate. I think correctly identifying this as the King Gambit is maybe something you're okay with getting hit by everything. He has actually Grimmsnarl goes for a parting shot. Its attack is gonna drop in the special attack for Volcarona, as now Andy's able to pivot with that Grimmsnarl. Grimmsnarl actually getting parting shot was great for it this generation, but not something we actually got to see as much as I think people really wanted to. And Iron Moth is actually going to be the Pokemon of choice here. Volcarona is going to go for the Heat Wave. Does very little damage onto both of those Pokemon here. Does get a critical hit on the Iron Moth. And Gholdengo gonna finish off this turn with a Shadow Ball. Honestly, I'm so happy for this Volcarona. Like, it's living its best life, getting all those the HP back from leftovers. And Gholdengo is actually still up +2 right now. The hard part about having setups right here is the fact that when you have setup like that, the issue is you don't really want to switch out sometimes, because then you're losing, you're kind of putting yourself back a turn, right? And if Andy can kind of like notice that, then maybe you can just put a little bit more pressure on there. But Gholdengo gonna lose that +2 from Nasty Plot here, as it's gonna switch out for Dragonite. Now Dragonite cannot Terra Flag anymore because the Terra Water has gone into that Volcarona. We do have a little bit more just sort of chip damage here into both of these Pokemon. Is Overheat from that Iron Moth is gonna go down into that Dragonite, getting a -2 to a special attack for its trouble. Kowtow Cleave also from that King Gambit is gonna go into that Volcarona. Gonna finally get it under its half health, but Volcarona just persistent here, able to just hang on as Dragonite now hits the field with that ban. Did have to take a little bit of damage from that overheat. Iron Moth, though, gonna get the heck out of here. We're just playing Revolving Door Pokemon here with Andy as Annihilate is gonna come into play. As of right now, it still only has one activation, I think, on that Rage Fist. Kingambit goes down this turn. That is a huge knockout here for for Allan. That Kingambit can be really annoying if you're playing games with it in the late game. Volcarona, though, going just straight for a Quiver Dance, taking the opportunity to go for another. So it'll be at neutral special attack again now, because it did get knocked out from that parting shot. It's going to get a little bit more health thanks to that leftovers. Honestly, this leftovers just putting in absolute work for this Volcarona. This is the most time I've ever seen a Volcarona on a field. Just really great for him. And so you're kind of in an awkward spot now for Andy, right? Because you have two kind of really crazy heavy hitters here on Allan's side. Sure, the Dragonite can't touch you with Extreme Speed for your Annihilate, but the Dragonite is still scary. The Iron Moth will take a lot of damage from Extreme Speed, and Extreme Speed plus a +1 Heat Wave might actually be enough here for a knockout. Oh, he's going for another Quiver Dance. That feels really greedy. It could pay off though, right? If you know that it can, then that's great. Extreme Speed actually able to pick up the knockout here on Iron Moth. I don't know how much that critical hit matters. Because it is a banded Dragonite. Volcarona going for a Quiver Dance one more time though. It is now a +2 special attack, +3 special defense, and +3 speed. Annihilate going for the Rage Fist now into this Volcarona. Not doing that much damage. I want to say that's 0 activations of Rage Fist onto that Annihilate, but Volcarona has just persistently been on this field. Light Screen finally wearing off. And now it's this Annihilate and Grimmsnarl versus, actually, most of Allan's team to accept that Sableye. Grimmsnarl, though, you know, not really having the time of its life. You can't really do anything about this Dragonite. You know for sure it's going to hit into that Grimmsnarl spot because you can't hit the Annihilate with it. Volcarona going behind and protect on this turn, though. Grimmsnarl not actually trying to set up anything here. Ooh, barely misses the knockout here with that Grimmsnarl, that Extreme Speed, leaving it open for a Spirit Break. Volcarona protecting itself though, doesn't have to worry about the Drain Punch and Spirit Break. Gonna do super effective damage to that Dragonite. Also not enough to quite knock it out still. The special attack's gonna drop here, but that doesn't really matter for Dragonite. For sure now though, you're in a spot where you can just knock out the you can just knock out the Grimmsnarl here, and that's totally fine. If either one of these gets knocked out, you might be in a little bit of trouble, but oh well. You could reset the Banded Dragonite as well for the later game for Annihilate if you need to go up against it, right? You know you'll at least be faster, most likely, than the Annihilate. Dragonite actually going to get the heck out of here. Allan just being like, you know what, we'll save you for later. We are going to bring in that Golden Go back onto the field at full health still. Light Screen from Grimmsnarl. I'm going to go up on this turn. Bug Buzz from Volcarona, though, going to pick up what little HP that Grimmsnarl had left on it. Is going to get knocked out. And sure, this Annihilate can go for a Rage Fist still. It has just not been touched at all otherwise, but you know, this Goldengo just eating up that Rage Fist really well as Volcarona, the only Pokemon on the field who have consistently just not been switched out at all. It has been here the entire game. Is able to at least finally, you know, attack into this Annihilate. It's been setting up Quiver Dances, it's been setting up and like helping out its partners. Heat Wave here, that is a +2 Heat Wave into that Annihilate as Goldengo follows up with a Shadow Ball at neutral because it did lose the Nasty Plot. However, is able to pick up the knockout on the Annihilate and give the game and the set to Allan, who will be moving on to top 4. Just honestly, that was just such a beautiful way to use like Volcarona. I really appreciated that. That was just so nice to see consistently, you know, when to click Quiver Dance, when to click Protect, and how to just sort of navigate the idea of if you hit Annihilate, that Rage Fist will slowly build up into more and more counters. And so I think when you're kind of looking at it, right, like maybe not setting up screens like early on was kind of really tough for Andy, but Allan just able to just really capitalize on that and getting rid of the Kingambit and just saying, hey, this is a threat, we're going to stop it and we're going to make sure that it can't do anything to me later on. Just really kind of fantastic, and just kind of showing between both games just why it's such a scary Pokemon and why you have to get rid of it as soon as possible. So Congrats to Allan and congrats to Andy for making it this far. But we will see Allan in top 4 maybe, and maybe in finals. So we might see that Dragonite, we might see that Volcarona one more time. In the meantime, as we wait for the games to finish, we'll see you guys for our top 4, okay? Bye!